Hello everyone, Houston Kadharima here. Welcome back to the ISP F-1 Visa Navigator. Today we are tackling one of the most common questions: why is the US visa interview so short? If you have been through an F-1 student visa interview, you might have been surprised or even frustrated at how quickly it was over. Many applicants feel they barely got a chance to say anything before the interview ended. We often hear concerns like, why didn't the officer ask to see any of my documents? The officer only asked me 2 questions. Had they already made up their mind before even I walked in? These are understandable questions. The truth is, it's completely normal for a US visa interview to be very brief, often just a couple of minutes long. In fact, the average F-1 student visa interview often lasts around 2 to 5 minutes and sometimes even less. Let's talk about why these interviews are so short and, more importantly, what can you do to make the most of those few minutes. First thing is the high volume and time pressure. US consular officers handle a huge number of visa applications every day. In busy posts, an officer might interview dozens, in some cases up to 100 of applicants in a single day. Because of this volume, they are under intense time pressure to keep each interview quick and efficient. The other thing why the interview is short is they have reviewed your application. Before you step up to the window, the officer has already reviewed your DS-160 application form and any other info available like your service record or previous visa history. By the time you say hello, they likely already know the basics about you: where you are from, what you plan to study, your test scores, your sponsor, any prior travel, or even visa refusals. An experienced officer might feel they already understand your situation just from that information. So the interview is usually not about going through every document, it's about confirming key details quickly. The officer will typically ask just a few targeted questions to verify what they need and to check anything that isn't clear from your application. The other thing is focused questions versus documents. This explains why they often don't ask to see your documents. Not that your paperwork isn't important, it's that there is rare time to read through documents during such a short interview. Officers are trained to make decisions primarily based on your answers and demeanor. They will ask you the most relevant questions and listen to your responses rather than poring over your documents on the spot. The other thing is your case is not pre-decided but efficient. A common worry is that the officer had already decided to approve or refuse before the interview even began. Officially, no decision is made until after the interview. However, it's fair to say the officer comes to the window with an initial impression from your DS-160. The few questions they ask are meant to confirm or override that initial impression. If your answers line up with what they expect, either good or bad, they might not feel the need to ask more. Now, the big question is how to make the most of a 3-minute interview. First is by knowing that you have only a couple of minutes in front of the consular officers. How can you maximize that short time to present your case in the best way? Here are 2 key strategies. First is know your strengths and weaknesses and be ready to discuss them. Before your interview, take an honest look at your application and background. What are the strengths of your case? Perhaps you have a fully funded scholarship, strong English skills, excellent grades, or a clear career plan after graduation. These are points you will want to highlight if given the chance. Also consider any weakness or concerns a visa officer might have about your case. Do you have relatives in the US or any gaps in your academic history? Were you ever denied a visa before? This could make an officer skeptical, so you should be prepared to address them briefly if they come up. The other thing is identify opportunities to highlight your points and know when to elaborate or stay brave. In such a short interview, you must seize any opportunity to get your important points across. This means listening carefully to the officer's questions and understanding the motivation behind each question. Every question is there for a reason. For example, if the officer asks, "Who is financing your studies?" they are really checking that you have sufficient funds and won't need to break visa rules to support yourself. If you are asked, "Why did you choose this university?" they might be probing your genuine intent and planning. You can briefly mention positive factors that also show your sincerity or future plans. If the question is, "What are your plans after graduation?" this is directly about your ties to your home country. You should clearly state a plan that involves returning home or at least not violating your student visa status. US visa interviews are short by design, so don't panic when yours only lasts a few minutes. A brief interview isn't a bad sign in itself, it's normal. What matters is what you do in those few minutes. At the International Scholars Program, this is exactly what we prepare students to do. Take the next step in your success journey. Join our community of bold achievers and let us guide you from admissions, funding to visa success and beyond. If you have a bachelor's degree with at least a 2.8 GPA out of 4 and for Uganda 3.8 out of 5, you are eligible to join us and your high school performance does not matter. Visit our website, that is www.internationalscholarsprogram.com, and grab our program handbook. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, all at International Scholars Program. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.